Today is Monday, July the 22nd, 2024, and we have a nice little agenda here, and I've promised the commission that I'd let all of you folks out here by 6 o'clock so you could go back home, but we'll see how that works for us this afternoon. But welcome to City Hall and welcome to your City Commission in action today. We're going to start our meeting off with a word of prayer led by Commissioner Holland, and then we're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by ninth grader Colt Jacobs, who's a member of the Boyd County Middle School baseball team last year, but he's a rising ninth grader this year, right? Okay. Commissioner Holland?
Okay, let us pray. Lord, grant us eyes to help see our neighbors' needs, open our ears to hear what the community is saying today, ready to listen. Keep our minds open so we can listen and respect those who think differently than us, and open our hearts in a way that strengthens and unites our community and our nation. In your name, amen.
Come on, Brother Coach. See right through here and do it, right? She promised me. All right, here you go. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Commissioners, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented, unless someone has an addition or a deletion. But is there a motion to approve our agenda for this afternoon?
So moved.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, likewise. Thank you all. I'm going to skip down to, to number one. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait, give you guys some more time, right? We're expecting 20-plus middle school baseball players, but I heard that some of them are out practicing football. So those who have that history, football coaches never know how to end on time. So we'll try to give you guys a few more minutes, okay? So we're going to do our Hear the Public at this point, and those who are present who desire to speak to the commission, raise your hand, be recognized. We'll give you a chance to talk about items that are on the agenda at this time, and you may take 3 minutes or less. So is there someone desiring to speak to your city commission today? Hearing and seeing none, so let's move right. Oh, okay. He raised his hand.
I did not want to steal the microphone, but the item related to the banner request.
Yes, sir.
And I'm here representing the committee that is putting together the balloons over the bluegrass August 2nd out at the Danville Boyle County Airport. And I hope you will approve for us to put the banner out front. And I would tell you, go through the list of sponsors, but it would be a spoiler alert. Give you so if you'll allow us to put the banner up, you'll know who all the sponsors are. We've had a tremendous amount of support from the community, and I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of those that have collaborated with us to put on this event. It is an event that's way above our pay grade as a board at the airport, and Jake Bell, who leads our community board, has put together a group of volunteers, and we've been very fortunate because the Sheriff's Department, the City of Danville has been involved in the meetings, and as we were getting cold chills, we had a lot of talent show up and offer to help us get organized and give us some tips from past barbecue festivals and balloon festivals and whatnot that you guys have had, and I think that committee is on top of things, and we are looking forward to the event and hope everyone has an opportunity to come out and take advantage of it. And my last request would be, please make sure it doesn't rain on Friday night, August the 2nd.
Gotcha. Request granted, right? No rain, right? Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else desiring to speak to your city commission at this time about items that are on the agenda? All right, thank you. Next item, I'm going to skip number 1. I'm going to wait on some Boyd County Middle School kids to get here, right? Let's go to item number 2, retirement recognition. And I guess I ought to do 2 and 3 together then. Mr. Carrier, where's Marshall Carrier? All right, can we do both of these young men at the same time? They don't really know each other, but we'll see about that, right?
Thank you, Mayor. This meeting is a pretty important meeting for utilities overall. We've got a couple guys standing here behind me that are imperative to how we operate. So filling their shoes is going to be pretty tough. You know, neither of them want to probably talk much, and I'll ask them to talk if they want to, but they probably won't, knowing them. But, you know, these two guys are crucial to what we do on a daily basis. You got Andy Tompkins here, our water treatment plant superintendent, Chris Scheffler, water distribution superintendent. So those are 2 key roles in utilities that are going to be vacant in the near future. So I think the 31st of this month is the last day for these guys. And, you know, Earl's been around long enough and worked with them long enough to know what we're missing, you know, when we have these vacancies. So filling those gaps are going to be tough. You know, you're losing a lot of expertise, a lot of responsiveness, which means a lot to me, means a lot to Earl. You know, in the middle of the night, if something happens, I know I can call these guys. And that means a lot to me as utility director, but also it means a lot for our customers too, right? So it's imperative that you have those folks in those roles. And they've served those roles for many, many years, even way before I got here. So I just wanted to congratulate them on wonderful careers. I'm going to kind of give you a breakdown on some of the things that they're responsible for in their years of service. I'll start with Andy here. He was hired in '06. He's worked here for, it'll be right at 18 years on the 31st, 17 years, 11 months. The water treatment plant superintendent from '08 to now. Assistant water treatment superintendent from '06 to '08. And then before coming to the city of Danville, he worked at Burnside Water Department, Northern Kentucky Water, Laurel County Water, and TTAI. So he's had plenty of experience before he got here. So he brought a lot of that experience in here in the door, and that helped us tremendously. He's got a lot of experience in water treatment plant operations, obviously, but has a lot of experience statewide. So there's not uncommon that we have conversations with Kentucky Rural Water, EPA, Division of Water, that they rely on Andy to get a lot of the information that they want to bring into their policies and a lot of their trainings. We have a lot of trainings at the water plant also that we oversee, but it's at the request of Kentucky Rural Water and Division of Water. They want to come here and see what we've got and how we handle our business. And a lot of that goes to these 2 guys right here, but namely so Andy at the water plant also. So as a water treatment plant superintendent, there's a myriad of things that you're responsible for. General oversight of the water itself, right? The cleanliness of the water that goes out to the customers. Compliance, responsiveness to inquiries. So when I say that, the water plant's open 24/7, right? So lots of times if there's a call that comes in the middle of the night, it comes into the water plant, and then we deal with it once it comes in the middle of the night. So maybe it comes into our folks that are working the night shift at the water plant. They'll take it and call me or call Andy or call Chris or whomever they need to get things done. And that's crucial too. You know, we got those employees in important places throughout the night, and we just want to make sure the public understands that when there's something that goes wrong in the middle of the night, you know, we ask if they call the water plant, reach out, and we'll try to do the best we can to be responsive as quickly as we can. Andy's over water quality testing for the facility, maintenance and observation of the water levels in the tanks at all times through our SCADA system, which is important, right? That's the water level in the tanks that goes out to the customers in the areas. Lots of trainings, the GAC and the MIOC systems that we have right now. You hear me talk about PFAS and how we're ahead of the curve and so on and so forth. And thanks to Earl and Andy here, you know, they've put us in a position for years to come that we're ahead of the curve from a regulatory standpoint. A lot of that stuff, you hear me talk about it all the time. And then boil water advisories, when we have those boil water advisories go out, that usually comes out of the water plant as well as Chris's guys also. So, long story short, that's a big loss for us. And I'll switch to Chris here real quick. Well, Andy's got 10 employees that's under him at the water plant. Chris has 9. In water distribution, Chris's guys are responsive to inquiries. We have to maintain all the leaks in the system, any main breaks that come up, either during the working hours or in the middle of the night, which a lot of the folks in the public are aware of. Anytime we have taps, our guys go out and make those taps for the customers. Meter operations and maintenance, dealing with the contractors and the plumbers, which he likes to do sometimes and sometimes he doesn't. It's part of the gig. Regulatory compliance with our system. And anytime we have call-outs, in the middle of the night, he's usually the guy that gets the call that has to try to delegate those responsibilities, or lots of times he's the one in the truck driving all the way here from Mount Vernon with his lights on in an emergency, so. And Andy does that too, by the way. I'll speak for Andy on behalf. He's willing to help with all that water distribution stuff too, and even in the middle of the night, so. Water distribution, we serve, if you figure our wholesale and everything in total, we serve approximately 70,000 people in our system. We've got multiple wholesale customers, but, we're also responsible for operations and maintenance of, I think I did the math a couple of days ago, and it's over 100,000 linear feet of line in our system, which is a lot. So, and that's the guy right there that's responsible for oversight of that. So, as you can tell, long story short, pretty big losses for the city of Danville, but we'll do the best we can to try to fill their shoes. And in the meantime, we'll just have to wing it, so to speak. And then, but just thanks to them, thanks to everything that they've brought to the table for the city. I've been here for 3.5 years, and it's really helped my life, able to do my job a lot better when I know I have 2 guys that I can call any time of the day to help facilitate the needs of the public. So I don't know if, Earl, you want to say anything?
I sure do. Chris, what year did you start again? We missed that. 93, right. So that's quite a bit of time as I look at Donna. So, because she and I have talked about that before, but so these 2 people are my friends, and I'm proud to call them friends. We've troubleshot a lot. Like there's been a lot of times where we've sat around and brainstorm, but. I know. Well, so it's funny. I wrote down 2 stories. One minus 23 degrees. That was pretty good. Russell Street maybe, and then the car ride where early on in my career I was with you.
It's all right. We got it. You're
Punching above our weight. Me and Andy had to go give a speech in Vegas. We weren't, neither one of us had the capacity to give it. I say that. And then, middle of the night, me and Andy, one time I called Ron Scott, and I was like, Ron, look, it's a bad deal. It's going to go 2 ways. You're either going to wake up with a phone call and we're all going to be out of water, or it's going to work. We don't know. We'll find out. And it worked. So I don't know. That's not for everybody. That's for us. So I appreciate you.
So as you can tell, in utilities, it's not uncommon. It's a brotherhood. So we feel very, very confident in these guys.
I was on with some lab mates where I think 49 years of experience between you 2 guys. Commissioners, come on, join me. Don't be shy. So we have our way of saying congratulations to you. I already took you out in the hallway, right? We'll give you 30 days off, and we're gonna call you back, right?
Yeah.
You want the same 30 days? Come on, guys, look, we'll do a little presentation for you, a little picture. And let's give it a round of applause. Miss Donna, our both of them.
Yeah, she did.
There is cake and punch out there for this celebration. There are any family members of these 2 young men? Family members? You are here, right? You are. Congratulations. ma'am?
I'm trying, I need shoes to fill.
That's not Melvin.
I was gonna tell a funny story.
All right, now. No, don't worry about it. We're gonna call you back.
I wanted to say something too about those guys. I worked with them while I was here the whole time, and I know that they say, everybody hears, well, what they do for the city, but I don't think you realize how much they do and how much they're going to be missed. When I retired, I missed them just picking at them and being around them. They're just good guys, and they take their job so seriously, and if you need them, they're there, and they're going to really be missed by the city and the citizens. If you think about it and hear what they said, Chris's department, there's 9 people that take care of all the water lines. So if something's broken, they take care of it. And that's not many, and how many can retire right now if they wanted to? And the same is true with the water plant. I know you were here when we went from, Carbon to, y'all went to Australia. So that was another trip.
Oh.
But anyway, and started up where you are today. And so I know that there's several that can retire too, and all of the water systems, and you feel in good hands with you all here. So big shoes to fill.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's give them another round of applause. "39, 49 years. Wow. That's almost my age, right? Okay. I slipped that in, right? Shall I wait a little longer for your teammates? You don't mind waiting? Well, you can go to school first day in August, 14th? First day of school? August 14th? Yeah. Well, tell your teachers that you spent the most exciting afternoon all summer long at City Hall in a city commission meeting waiting for your baseball teammates to show up, right? So, okay, let's go on and do a few more things, see what happens, guys, okay? We have a banner request about the Airport Balloon Festival. Mr. Cowell has already done his presentation, so Chair where'd he go? Oh, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the Airport Balloon Festival banner request.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request of the airport for the balloon festival.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Mr. Coyle, anything else you want to say before we carry this motion? Thank you. All right. Well, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. We'll display the banner. And it sure looks good, I tell you that, buddy. Good looking banner. CVB update. Mr. Kendall? Oh, there you are. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Always a pleasure to come talk to you all, tell you what we got going on. I want to start out tonight talking about some information we got recently that reflects well on the tourism industry in Boyle County as a whole, not just the tourism office, but anybody who works in tourism. That's the annual report that the State Department of Tourism puts out every year. We're always just clamoring to get that because it kind of shows what happened throughout the previous year, and we always want to see an increase in the numbers. So that's what we saw last year. In 2023, we had 671 jobs in Boyle County that were related to the tourism industry. That generated $18.9 million in labor income, $6.3 million in state and local taxes, and total spending of $79.4 million, which that was up from 75.91 in 22 and 71.93 the year before that. So that's a $7.5 million increase in tourism spending over 2 years. So it's continuing to grow. We can kind of see that in the room tax revenue each month. We know, when the hotels are full and when the revenue's coming in. So this just gives us a better idea of exactly how many people are coming, the kind of impact they're having on the economy. Along with that report, we also got our audit last week, which there's really nothing to report. It was a clean audit. They didn't find anything. So we're good to go there for another year.
That's good.
Yeah. Looking ahead to the next fiscal year, we just passed our budget like everybody else last month. And the increase in revenue has allowed us to increase our budget, what we're spending on marketing and advertising. For the coming year, we budgeted $320,000 in revenue from our hotels, which that was up from $300,000 the year before, and we budgeted $35,000 in revenue from short-term rentals, Airbnbs, and that's up from $22,000 the year before that. Now, going back to FY '22, the total revenue was $175,000. FY '23, it went up to $255,000. Last year it was $322,000, and now it's $355,000. So in 4 years, the amount of revenue budgeted has doubled. So, you know, that's great for us, allows us to do more things, spend more money on advertising, and also reflects a very strong local tourism industry. From that money, we're going to spend about $37,000 on funding for different organizations, Brass Band Festival, the events over in Perryville. We have a grant application they fill out to come to our board, and then we divide that money up amongst the different entities to be able to advertise their own events outside of what we're doing for them. In-house, we're going to spend about $156,000 on marketing and advertising this year, and that's everything from print and digital to the glossy brochures we hand out at events and at our welcome centers to social media marketing. So we've got a pretty robust budget for marketing and advertising this year. That budget still includes $50,000 in ARPA funds, which we have to spend by the end of this calendar year. So we got till December the 31st. The majority of that's going toward wayfinding signs in Perryville, which we're still working on that. And we got $6,250 budgeted to sponsor a TV show that's going to be filmed here actually next week. I've mentioned it before. It's called Distilled in Kentucky. David Helmers, who started the Railbird Festival, he's the producer. Silas House is the host. And next week they're going to be filming for 2 days in Danville. There's a band called Wayne Graham Band. They have opened up for Tyler Childers, and they opened for him in Red Rocks and have performed, with him recently. So Tyler's going to be part of the episode. He won't be filming here. They've already filmed him, but my understanding is he will be in our episode. So that's good for us. They're going to film 8 episodes altogether, and once those are done, they will market that to Netflix, Apple TV, see who will pick that series up. And if it's successful, they'll go on to do season 2, 3, and beyond. But we're going to be in the first season. We'll have a 30-minute episode all about, Danville and Boyle County. And they'll have several iconic locations. They're going to film at Luca Mariano Distillery, Constitution Square, the Glass Museum, some other locations around town. So if you see a film crew next week, that's what they're doing. Another little project that we actually have already initiated for this fiscal year. I gave you all some little business cards. My marketing and assistant, Candace Arnold, came up with this idea to take these little business cards. We had 45,000 of these printed, gave them to 2 of our hotels, and they will put them in the key cards. So when you check into the hotel, you get that in your key card, and it's got our QR code on there, so they can scan it, see where the places are to eat, activities going on, and we'll expand that out to the other hotels and Airbnbs and whoever else wants these business cards. So,
Pretty neat.
and it's fairly cost effective. I think we spent maybe $600 for 45,000 of those. Along with those efforts, we're still assisting Main Street of Perryville with a state fair booth this year. I've been talking with Ragnar about the upcoming Bourbon Chase on October the 4th. They've got a new race director who hasn't been to Danville, isn't familiar with really with the race itself. So I've been helping him with his application to close the streets down. They'll have to turn it into the city, making contacts for him locally, and just generally being of assistance here. And we're also helping with the last year of the Goldwing motorcycle event at the showroom. They made a 3-year commitment back in '22 to come here 3 years in a row, and they'll move on someplace next year. But mid-August will be their final appearance here, and then they'll move on to a new city. So it's nice having them. We'll look for other groups, similar to them to try to recruit to come here for conferences or group meetings or whatever. So those are a few highlights of things we're working on. If you got any specific questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Commissioners, any questions or comments?
I love the QR code. I was playing with it already, and I like how it says eat, visit, stay, so they know what's on there. And what was the name of the film for next week?
Distilled in Kentucky.
Distilled?
Distilled.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Who signed up to help at the state fair? My fellow commissioners. All right.
Yeah, Rick's on there.
Mick, you and Rick.
Earl's on there.
What's wrong with the rest of you?
Tell them the date of that, Commissioner Cottle?
I don't, I've got it written down. I have no idea.
If anybody does want to volunteer, they can call me. I've got the spreadsheet on my,
Be careful what you
Computer
sign up
dates.
for, right?
It's fun. I do.
I'll repeat what I've said previously. We have a great director, you're doing a good job. Elevating your assistant to a new title has been a real plus. And I did mention at a previous meeting, your signage is going to mirror a little bit what Danville's doing for Perryville and Junction. You want to say anything about that or not?
yeah, we're waiting to get everything final approval from the Transportation Cabinet. They sent an email back this morning. They had one thing they wanted to change on one sign over in Perryville. And that's, I'm not sure what the next step is, but we've been using the same consultant the city used for their signage. So they're leading the way for us on that right now. Just waiting to hear what the next step's going to be, but we don't have much longer to get it all done. So.
Other questions or comments? And you warned me at the start of the meeting about, it's maybe the third or fourth time I've heard your presentation. Well, it was a little different today, so.
I had a few new things.
It's a new addition, so that's good. Keep up the good work,
All
though.
right, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item is approval of the minutes of our previous meetings. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of 7/8/24 as presented.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, additions, deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving our minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, thank you all. Before we do this zone change request, because it's probably going to take some time, I'm going to go back to the Boyle County Middle School Eagles. You already blaming this on the football coach. At least I'm going to blame it on, right? But we were anticipating the whole team being here today and the coach, so Coach, you want to stand up and tell us a few things about why we're recognizing these young men? Come up to the mic and tell us your name. And we have all this hardware, gold we're going to give you guys. We're going to give you some gold today. How about that? Don't take it to the pawn shop, though, but we're going to give you some gold, right? Come on, Coach.
Okay, my name's Donnie Edwards. I was the head coach of the middle school baseball team this year. Just a few highlights of this season. We were the 2024 Salt River Conference champions, 2024 East Semi-State champions, 2024 middle school overall state baseball champions. We had a 39-4 record. My assistant coaches who couldn't be here tonight were Justin Jarnigan and Jacob Tammy. And just a quick rundown of the players. So we had let's see. Try not to forget anybody here. So I've got Will Boffman, Zach Belden, Brady Edwards, Carson Emmons, Jack Grubb, Andrew Holder, Colt Jacobs, Cole Jarnigan, Austin Mitchell, Tucker Mosley, Dalen Pendergraph, Jordan Stacy, Ethan Stevens, Mitch Wilson, Lucas Young, Gage Bottom, Clayton Bertram, Trenton Childers, Merrick Cornelius, Jax Dominic, Haven Mills, Hudson Spoonermore, Lane Stollard, Luke Tammy, Will Wesley, and Gage Ty. And we really appreciate you all having us here tonight and recognizing us. Wish we could have made a better showing for the total players, but we are thrilled to be recognized by you all tonight.
Well, congratulations, but their absence implies to me that they're doing some other great things. So we understand that. So let's give these guys a round of applause.
Absolutely.
give each individual player as well as the coaches, so we have 27 of them, so I can't carry 27 of these things by myself, so y'all gotta help me out, because they're so heavy. You can find Coach a bag or something, that was good. And Coach, if you run short, be sure that someone at City Hall know we'll, Come on, Rick, we gotta get a picture with the coach and the guys who showed up, right? Out there, oh. You got a lot of pockets, I hope, right? Yes, sir. Good job. You get one, man? Let me pin you right there.
Look, you should have told, look, Donnie's wife asked me to take photos, so.
What's your last name?
Ty,
Oh, okay, so just scribble that, right?
he took my name.
We didn't talk to you. Oh. Come on, Bill, good picture there. She's a whole elementary student of mine, so I can harass her all the way.
Oh, as the mayor usually does, we gotta thank the parents too for
Oh,
all they
that's
do.
right.
So, That's, being a baseball parent's a full-time job.
Oh,
almost.
yeah. Man. Oh, we lost Commissioner Peak. She helped raise most of the 24 guys on this team, so she's going to go out and celebrate with them. So we'll continue on. Next on our agenda is a zone change recommendation, South Danville bypass and Ghost Pike. Michaela Gary, you want to do the presentation for us, please? She didn't stay out there long.
All right, sorry. Oh, gosh. All right, the Danville Boyle County Planning and Zoning Commission met for a regular scheduled meeting on June 26, 2024, to discuss the zoning map amendment for a property that's located on South Danville Bypass and Ghost Pike. We've had two previous applications on this property that have come before you all. The northernmost part of the property was rezoned from ag to highway business to one of our commercial zoning districts. That kind of middle section of this property was rezoned to RM3 and RM4. That's our higher density residential zoning districts. And the request before you today is for 55 acres, 56.884 acres to be exact, from agricultural to single-family residential R1C. After the public hearing had been conducted, the Planning Commission's vote was 5 yeas and 4 nays for a recommendation of approval to the Danville City Commission. I don't know how much you all want me to get into it, if you just want to start asking questions.
Why don't we take a motion to approve or to deny, and then we'll take questions before we do a final vote. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we concur with the Planning and Zoning Commission and approve the request as presented.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, questions, comments?
So I guess that side of town now has adequate water and sewer?
They are working, I feel silly talking about it with Marshall in the room, but they are working. Is Marshall still in the room? He might have left. But they are working on a trunk sewer line that would go through there that would provide adequate service for that site once the project's completed.
When,
Do you want to
so
add
that
anything to
project will be completed before
Yeah.
any development?
Yeah, for anything zoned residential, we require it to be on water and sewer services, so they'd be required to provide adequate service and hook in for
if I-
subdivision to occur.
In Marshall's absence, the property, the commercial side is already on sewer. And what we have asked the developer is to contribute to a gravity line to eliminate the pump station. The pump station's been a publicly held, or a privately held pump station since Hampton Inn went in years ago, 20 years ago. So that was part of an original 98 development plan for that entire farm. And the agreement was for a minimum number of taps on the temporary sewer. And so that has been a work in progress, really since 98. And so I think Marshall, we expect to have the trunk line from the city's main on Balls Branch extended up there by the end of the calendar year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
if all goes as scheduled. Yeah.
I guess why did we not do the traffic study again? I think, Josh, it's mentioned in there that we didn't do a traffic or,
Yeah, they came in and met with me about it. There's so much going on in that area with traffic that we asked them to, we've got a letter from them, and I think Michaela put it in the report here, that they're going to meet with us and the adjoining property owners and KYTC to discuss an overall traffic plan, because we're going to end up with kind of 3 different developments there that we discussed. You got the highway business up front, then you've got the high-density residential, and then you'll have this low-density in the back with probably 3 different developers maybe there. I mean, one's already done, and then you've got a new developer coming in for the high-density. And then at the same time, KYTC has got these new plans for the bypass, for their access control on the bypass. And the Highway Safety Office is currently looking at the Ghost Pike and bypass intersection and maybe doing some changes to it. So it didn't seem necessary to require a traffic study right now. That's probably going to be obsolete within a few months as more changes are made. So we just asked them to come to the table with all of the stakeholders involved and come up with an overall traffic plan for that entire corner of, Ghost Pike and the bypass. Because there's just, it didn't make a lot of sense. It does meet our threshold of the number of the traffic count to require a traffic study. But it's more important that they're at the table with us, with KYTC, coming up with a good plan moving forward.
yeah, because Ghost Pike is used more now than ever with,
Yeah, and that's, we, in the zone change that came before this, for the high-density residential and the remaining commercial, we put a condition in there that it ties into Ghost Pike. So how this property ties into it, how the road network ties together, is going to determine a lot of what happens with that connection to Ghost Pike, or whether this development ties directly into Ghost Pike, and how we divide the traffic up, how much of this development is going to Ghost Pike and how much is going back towards Hightower. So, and I don't know what the state has planned for Ghost Pike. I don't think they have a plan right now for that Ghost Pike bypass intersection. I don't know if they're going to go to restricted left turns or if they're just going to put offset left turns. So there's so much unknown right now. Because what the traffic study may point out is, hey, widen Ghost Pike at the bypass to add turn lanes. That may be what the result of the traffic study would be. But the state may already be planning to do that with their project, or not. They may be planning to do a completely different plan. So that really, we just want to make sure that we've got everybody involved, and it's going to be on us as the city to kind of coordinate that, because we've got to take the lead on getting all these people in the same room together.
Other questions or comments?
So Michaela, just on top of that, even after approving this, the developer, whether it's a neighborhood or highway business site plan, they'll have to do the traffic study at some point to approve further development, right?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. I would anticipate it taking place prior to when they're going through the subdivision plat approval phase. So as part of tech review and things like that, when that plan came in, or at site plan phase with commercial, but hopefully subdivision phase, so.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I had another question.
Yeah.
On the page 7, it said applicant will address manufactured housing restrictions at the preliminary plat phase.
Yep.
What does that mean?
Well, there was a discussion between the applicant and I prior to them coming before the commission, just with R1C, we do allow for manufactured housing, so I brought that to their attention, that there's sometimes some concerns raised by neighbors about that. So they originally planned on capping it at, I believe, 90%, and then they decided to roll that back because there's kind of a tough distinction with the way manufactured housing is done now between modular and manufactured, and they didn't want to accidentally outlaw some type of housing that they might look into doing. So it wouldn't be what you typically think of with manufactured housing, which is, another word for mobile homes, but some of the newer modular homes, I think they are potentially interested in doing it, so they didn't want to put a cap on it. So they basically just said, we'll address it and potentially put some deed restrictions on it, private deed restrictions at the subdivision plat phase, so.
All right. Other questions? Comments? Let's call for the question. All those in favor of the motion at hand to pass the zone change recommendation, say aye.
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 Those opposed, recommendation carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.
And Mayor, as a reminder, I'll have the ordinance prepared for the first reading at your next meeting to officially take it into position of a zoning map amendment.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next up is Mr. Randy Board, Resolution 2407-2201, our health insurance amendment.
All right, thank you, Mayor. See, it's on May 1st of 2024, the city renewed its health insurance plan. Through that process, there were some amendments made to the plan, which was primarily changed to the deductibles and out-of-pockets. As part of that change process, one of the things that we're legally required to do is complete a summary plan document that's available to employees that outlines, coverage details, scope of benefits, eligibility, et cetera. This is the amendment to the document that includes the incorporated changes. The reason you're seeing it this year is all the plan details are staying the same with the exception of those changes in deductibles and out-of-pockets, which ties into our stop-loss reinsurance, which is why we have to bring it to the board for approval for signature. And so it takes some time after the plan year starts for the carriers to develop it, so that's why you're seeing it come to you in July, which is not uncommon. And so staff's just requesting approval of the plan summary. And in simple terms, it's a large document, a lot of information, but the changes are outlined on the very last page of the document that's presented to you. And that's all encompassed. It doesn't change anything that was proposed when we did the renewals with our healthcare costs, just simply an administrative function that needs to be completed.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-07-2201.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. He said it was a large document. It was just 65 pages with is that a size 8 or size 10 font? I said,
It's good sleeping material.
well, it worked.
It'll work.
No, appreciate the work, board. Do we carry that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? All right. Next item is 2407-2202 ITS surplus. City Manager Phillips.
I'm the city clerk.
Oh, I'm sorry. City
And I
clerk,
have not
city
legally
clerk,
changed my name yet.
City Clerk Raider. She's Raider hyphenated Phillips right now, guys. I'm sorry, but come on, Ashley.
In your packet, you have a list of IT items that they are asking to surplus via govdeals.com.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner, what's your pleasure with these surplus items?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-07-2202.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Earl, you were next on the list, so I had city manager with mine, but okay. City manager report.
That's all right.
I didn't mean to demote you.
We begin, I guess, by talking about Kinder Morgan out there. They're still going through the process of detailing their paperwork. I know that seems laborious, but it is, and city attorney may want to be involved because he's worked with council on both sides and navigating what the terms of that looks like so that ultimately it can become a city street. That requires several signatures, and so they're going through that process, and I know that seems like it's taken forever, and it does for us as well. But so far as we understand, they're in agreement and they're working towards that. I did have several dates listed. I did want to add from the last time, that August 7th and through the 9th is the Governor's Local Issues Conference. I don't know if anyone is interested in attending. City clerk can help get you organized if you are. We usually attend that, and I know I'll have to set aside some time to be in Louisville for one or two of those days. The audit is still progressing. We still see them finishing up this month. I know, thank Lee, for our finance director, for working towards completion of that effort. And I think she's down to just a few bullet points, maybe a half dozen or a dozen. And I think she's responded to those. And I think as of right now, we're still on schedule for the end of the month. Then a lot of economic development activity. Want to commend JJ and the EDA have closed on the Norfolk Southern Track. So your EDA is actually a landowner now of a significant piece of property for industrial development. It's inside the bypass and it's adjacent to the rail. It's a rail site. And certainly they're working on other projects, Project B specifically, and so we'll keep going from there. We are working on an idea of what a fall community event or symposium would look like, and we've talked to Rob a little bit about it, and I know he was here a minute ago, but we are trying to figure out what the scope of that might look like, and I'm sure JJ will be involved in that with Melanie when she returns, and so we'll try to get that on our calendar. But I did want to tell you that it's in our minds. We missed last year. We had done a couple of good, what we felt like were successful events, and so we'll try to follow up that again this year. We do have a code enforcement report attached, and we have that for your information. Any questions?
Any questions or comments?
Just thank you for typing out the important dates, because I'll fill my calendar now. Thank you.
It keeps offering us an opportunity to go to Richmond, Kentucky, Bowling Green, or Lexington. But we found out tonight about a Las Vegas trip, about a trip to Australia or something.
Yeah, so we did have to, Andy and I had to go present in Las Vegas with the water plant. It had won an award, and it's still being studied now. It's involved with another presentation, a national presentation next month. But it is a significant piece of accomplishment for a town our size, and it is remarkable. But we had to go give a speech, and we were in a room full of 300 professionals from all over the country, and it was pretty nerve-wracking. It was televised all over the country too, and it was a big deal. But he and I both punched above our weight, and so I got emotional, partly because I've known those guys for a long time. But I was talking about thinking about a story I wanted to say. I'm better prepared now, but now that I'm not looking at Chris, and it was a story about Carl Harmon, and Chris and I and Carl, those of you who know, who's passed. So we'll leave it at that.
I was hoping you were going to tell the story.
No, I'm not going to tell it. I'd probably be too emotional.
It was not the right time, okay.
Yeah.
With school starting back, will you hopefully have the facility use agreement maybe back before?
Well, it's really separate from the schools. I mean, it's akin to their partnership with Parks and Rec in the same way the county is. So we want them to be integrated into our operations a little bit, because they do want special use of facilities from time to time. And so we're trying to have an agreement that reflects that. With the new superintendents, I know that sounds like an excuse, but they're in the middle of, they were in dead period, which means they weren't meeting. And so then we get past that. Now I'm trying to be considerate of their schedules. I mean, they're right in the middle of their headache, worst part of the year, trying to get school kicked off. But we are actively trying to get them together with us at the same time, which is part of the problem, is getting our schedules lined up. So we will accomplish that this first week after school starts is what we're shooting for right now.
Other questions for the city manager?
Would you or the attorney venture to guess any time when movement will happen? You talked about the paperwork, tie up a Chick-fil-A entrance.
I had an update on that actually just before coming to the meeting this afternoon. And I'm happy to say that Kinder Morgan, team leader, and the adjacent property owner, I don't know the name of his company, but it's, his name is fleeting me right now at the moment, I'm sorry.
Trey Owens.
Sorry, thank you.
The Tommy Owens track.
The Tommy Owens track. They have, because they had to participate in signing the agreement as well, so it's another wrinkle of complication, but it has been presented. Their review was finished as of today, and they have decided that they are ready to execute a final draft. So that message has now been communicated to Kinder Morgan. So the document can be finalized and circulated. So I would anticipate at your next meeting, hopefully, receipt of a final document that could be signed. And as far as a date of completion, due to the mobilization of the team that's going to be required to perform the service on the line, which is very specific, and more importantly, the coordination of schedules before any material is placed upon the line that was exposed and the amount of people involved, they anticipate conservatively a 60-day time frame from the completion of the agreement. And so they felt comfortable with me saying that by the end of September that roadway should be completed, with the goal obviously being much sooner than that.
That was a
Thank
lot
you, sir.
more information than I had. I appreciate you
Well,
doing that. Because
and
you and I hadn't got a chance to talk about
I
that.
got some text messages actually while we were sitting here tonight, so
Good.
that's very fresh.
Good, good. Anything else? Let's move right along then. Next item is for the public. The public can present items to the city commission that are not on our agenda for tonight. And if you raise your hand, I'll recognize you, and we'll give you 3 minutes or less to come forward and present to us. Mr. Tom Poland. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Hey, you
Mayor.
better lose your whole 3 minutes up.
My name is Tom Poland. I'm appearing before you. I appreciate the opportunity this evening, wearing a couple of hats, like a lot of people, Mr. City Manager, wearing a lot of hats in here. Tonight I come to you wearing, number one, as a Board of Director of the Kentucky Governor's Scholars Program. I want to talk to you a little bit about that, and also as co-chair of the Kentucky Child Care Advisory Council under the Commonwealth Health and Family Services. Number one, really just 2 words, but I want to say them a lot, and I want to say them to you all and Team Danville and everyone here. Thank you. Thank you. This is a very special community. We've heard that tonight. We punch above our weight all the time. And this is an amazing community. And so I just wanted to mention to you, the Governor's Scholars Program just ended on Saturday at the Norton Center, and commencement was packed at the Norton Center of 1,400 people, representing 356 of the brightest young minds in the state of Kentucky, our rising seniors from all across the state. This was the 36th year that Danville has hosted the Governor's Scholars Program out of the 42 years that it's been in existence. There are about 1,400 around the state that have been involved in the program. Also at the other schools this year were 3, Center, Murray, and Moorhead. So it's been an outstanding, there were no students lost or sent home or anything to security and everything. It was just an outstanding year, and it's been a long, long partnership, and next year will be the 3rd year of this contract with Center College, who's done a great job, and the hope is that there will be another 3-year extension of that contract after next year. But thank you, thank you, thank you. To have that type of talent come to our community, that's what we're about here. We're a special place. Secondly, I wanted to mention it's so exciting to hear Earl and see the dream Josh had of the Jenny Rogers to become I think the idea was that it would be the
Mayor,
front
that's 3
porch.
minutes.
The front porch of our community. So that's on the horizon, the ribbon cutting and so many great things, and especially for the Early Childhood Center that will be a 5-star facility, second to none. But the real story that's been told around the state is how we've worked together. It's an unbelievable story of you're all taking a step out when there was no real plan for Jenny Rogers. Of course, there was in your minds, but there was no plan, and that was a huge leap of entrepreneurship, and so thank you for that. And who knew where that was all going to come to, and now we have that great opportunity to those youngest minds out there. So thank you for that, and thank you for all you do, and appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate
Poland.
that.
Anyone else for the public? No.
Yes, I've been in a wreck.
Do we have a mic we can take to her? Tell us who you are.
Look at my car. Thank you.
Stay right there, Marshall, so you can take the mic back in a minute here.
I'm Margaret Calhoun, and I've been checking out Michael M. Smith picture, the sign and the surroundings, and it need to be beautified. The bushes need to be trimmed, and the small ones also, I put some flowers around and beautified it. And his picture is fading a little bit, but way the wall is built, when you come in on J.E. Woods, you can't hardly see it. It's blocking it. It needs to be a little taller where you can see Uncle Mike. That's why I call him. And everything is doing okay. I just drive by now and check it out and go on out.
I can't pop my fingers anymore.
But the kids is loving it down there at the splash pad.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I gotta say.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? All right, let's move along then. It's called for commissioner comments. Are there commissioners have comments for tonight? There are a lot of thank yous, I would hope.
Yeah, I was going to thank the Parks and Rec and Josh and Coach Rawl and everybody that was involved with the block party at Jackson Park on Saturday. It was really a nice event, and I appreciate the fact that Josh did not go down the slip and slide. So, but they were having a good time with that. Like $50 worth of plastic and some water, and they could have gone all
I thought you
day.
went
but
down
it
the
was-
slide.
And, yeah.
Didn't you
Coach Rawls
didn't you go
flipping
down the
burgers
slide?
and- No.
Oh.
Go down the
On
slide.
Facebook, you went down the slide.
No, it was a good event, and I appreciate all the work you did, Josh, and everybody who was a part of that.
Yeah, we think, we think there were about 300 people came through Saturday. We had at least 60 to 100 at a time. Then there was a line for the slip and slide all day long. We took advantage of those hills at Jackson Park. We took advantage of the steep hills, so.
Well, other commissioner comments?
Tom brought up about the governor's scholars, and I appreciate that. I was going to bring up, that we were so grateful to have them here in town. And it was really neat how they partnered with Parks and Rec at Jenny Rogers and at Michael Smith and painting and working with the Arts Commission and maybe Kiwanis even. So we really enjoyed having them.
The Snake and Michael Smith Park.
Well, we'd like to welcome the students from Ireland, the group
Yeah.
from Ireland. Maybe they could come to a meeting. I don't know if they'll be here next time, but.
Okay. Other comments?
Yeah, another big event in Danville. Jackson Park was Saturday. I did not personally go, but I drove by. Doc Dogs again was a full place out in that parking lot, so it's good to see people coming to Danville, enjoying themselves, having a good time. And one other comment, got a new manager at BCTC. Ty Howard is going to be honored this Wednesday and begin his duties as the new president of BCTC Danville. So,
Let's move along, unless there's other comments to be made. Next item is payment of the bills. Chair would entertain a motion to pay the bills as presented.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $679,524.44 as presented.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, comments, corrections, additions, deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying our bills, say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you all. Ms. Lee Compton, you're next with a financial update.
So we have a quarterly update. This will be out on our website sometime tomorrow for the public's access. This is one in comparison. It's a more generalized or higher level look versus your all's normal monthly reports that you get. Just works a little better for the public, in my opinion. So in general, this is a wrap-up of our fiscal year '24 year end for June 30th. There'll be some slight tweaks between now and when we close out our books for the final time about September for some accounting process changes, but otherwise, this is pretty close to what your final totals will be for the year. We ended the first page is just a fund summary of your budgeted funds. The second page is a fuller breakdown of your revenues for the general fund. We ended total revenues for the general fund at $24,187,842. That compared to total budget is technically, it's slightly under. However, if you all remember, we did budget a potential debt issuance for some capital projects of about $5 million for a total of budgeted revenues of $20.7 million. So when you compare those quote-unquote operating revenues, we actually ended up the year really well of about $4 million. Expenditures have seen kind of a similar trend to the last couple years, higher inflation, some higher medical costs, unfortunately, this year. When you move on to expenditures on page 3, a lot of our departments saw heavy hits due to medical costs, which is unfortunate. Total expenses for the year, which if you remember in the general fund does include capital transfers to other funds of significant amounts for work done in Park and Rec, In total, $33,087,051 in your general fund. The next couple of pages are just some illustrative charts, just to demonstrate where revenue was, where expenses were compared to the prior year. And when you look at those expenses compared to the prior year, there are some, we are over last year, but that's not surprising considering the payroll increase that we did in fiscal year '24 and the planned work we had for fiscal year '24. So those are really where we expected them to be based on known facts. If you go on further to page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is a basic breakdown of your utility fund, where we ended up there. Your total operating revenues ended the year at $11.58 million. Your non-operating revenue, which included that bond issuance or bond anticipation note that we did back in October at right around $7 million. Your operating expenses ended at $8.8 million for the utility fund. You have about $3 million annually in debt service for utility funds, and then about $5 million in capital that has come in so far. And then on the following pages, you have some just comparison to prior year on your operating expenses, which is similar to the general fund in that that's really where we expected it to be based on the known inflations we had, payroll, chemicals, that kind of thing. Further on down, you have your park and rec. Look at that. So between your transfer from the general funds, your county contribution, which is about $360,000, we had transfers and other governmental sources of about $7.2 million for the Park and Rec Fund. The majority of that went directly to capital improvements for the year. And by majority, I mean about $5.6 million. The rest was operating expenses. Your other major funds, we have a small revenue by revenue. Your municipal aid fund ended the year, we budgeted 1.5-ish for the KPDI project, even though that doesn't run directly through us as a pass-through, we do have to account for that. The Streetscape Fund got wrapped up in fiscal year '24 with about $2 million in revenues and expenditures, a little bit over 2.5. Your cemetery fund brought in $395,000 and we spent $455. Your stormwater fund brought in $636,000 and it spent $646,000. That was also planned. It was a little bit, that was actually under budget due to some capital stuff not getting started. They were also down an employee for most of the year, which saves on cost. And then your garbage fund ended with $1.5 million in expenses, and your parking fund ended with $510,000 in revenue and $533,000 in expenses, which also was a little bit of a spend down of the fund balance on some capital items. So that's in a very quick nutshell, the detail. This will be on our website tomorrow at some point for view by the public. I've also included in the last page, there's some, I realized today in your all's packet, there's some numbers that made those charts work that I didn't hide. So those printed, you can ignore those. But for fiscal year '24, we issued $388 business license. So those are new businesses that applied for a license in the city of Danville. Strictly for the license, that's, was $9,700 in revenue. And then of our items of note, we have budgeted this year some new business license software to find a better system to do some reporting on types of businesses, possibly where businesses are located. So we're really exploring what business license software is out there, what's available. That's one of the priorities for this fall for me. We're also going to be reviewing the current fee structure related to business license and things like that. And those two, for me, kind of go hand in hand, because if we don't have the information of how many businesses we have and where they're at, it's hard to say. It's imperative that we change or modify a fee associated with it.
So you're saying from July 1, 2023 to June 30, 2024, 388 new business licenses issued in Danville?
Yes, sir.
Wow. And the other thing I want to call to our attention is that when you talk about Parks and Rec, you said a number from fiscal court, $300,000+.
Yeah, so I can break it out better. It is $366,000 for the fiscal year that we were in. That gets raised annually by a COLA, which is agreed in the written agreement between the city and the county. So I think that's going to be closer to 380, 390 in the upcoming year. I'll have to do the math to double check.
What's our budget for that department, just so people can get
So
just the budget, not the capital?
Yeah, their operating expenses for the year, the budget was $1.8 million. And that does cover all of the city parks in Danville and their operations. It did not currently cover Jenny Rogers. That's going to be a new item, a new department within the budget that we will, while we will make some revenue from it, because part of it is rented out, part of it will be used by certain entities. It will be an expense to the city because it's meant to be a community center rather than a wholly for-profit standalone facility.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. And the other number was,
Go ahead, I apologize.
it's okay. Capital expenditures for Parks and Rec?
So for fiscal year '24 that we were in, and this is barring any items that come in over the next couple months for the last year, we've spent $5.6 million on park improvements, which includes Jenny Rogers improvements. It includes your Michael Smith Park improvements. It includes planning and designing all those things. I think there may be something I'm forgetting from early in the year, that maybe tennis courts that got wrapped up, the payments got wrapped up in this fiscal year. But in the current year we're in, 5.6.
Wow. Okay, that's the number I want to keep on my brain for our next meeting. Thank you, ma'am, that was good. Any other questions for Ms. Compton?
The only other comment I was going to have, we, prior to our community liaison being out for a little while, she did send me our tentative. We are working on our draft budget book, and that hopefully will be available. It should be available at our next meeting in full form.
Thank you.
Someone on staff wants to make a public announcement about our communications expert. She's not present tonight. Is it appropriate for us to make a comment about her celebration?
She gave birth to a beautiful baby girl last Thursday.
All right, thank you. She almost worked up to the day, guys. It's real dedication. Thank you, ma'am. I didn't want to violate any HIPAA rights or anything. I see that human resource person back there. So. Let's go on. Any other comments for Ms. Compton? Questions? If not, let's move along then.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you for the detail.
So next up, we have two items by Mr. Morgan, Bunny Davis Pool Design Fee and KPDI Disbursement Number 2. Yes, sir.
Thank you all. So, you know, we were just talking about capital expenses through parks, and tonight, bringing this fee to you all is really to start the conversation about how we want to move forward with Bunny Davis Pool. So, Bayer Becker provided a fee, scope and fee proposal to the city to complete schematic design and cost estimating for the Bunny Davis Pool in the amount of $112,490. We're estimating this to be a $3 million project is kind of the number we've thrown around. So I would anticipate total design fees being somewhere between $300,000, $450,000, 10 to 15%. So $112,000 to start us off for a schematic design is appropriate. It's an appropriate amount to lead off with that. But how we move forward, this isn't money we budgeted this year. So I was talking to Lee earlier today about this. This would require, if we move forward immediately, this would require a budget amendment of some kind. And also, how do we want to approach the county about this? We discussed this in the joint city-county meeting. And we, city attorney talked last meeting about how we move forward with these kind of decisions with the county. I mean, we could, if you are so inclined, we can move forward with this as is, or we can reach out to the county and have discussions, maybe send a written request to them about it to see what their input would be. Kind of want to just bring this forward to start the discussion. Timing-wise, it's the same kind of conversation we've had in the past. The quicker we get started on this, the quicker we can get a project started. But I also don't want you all to feel like you've been rushed into making a decision about this moving forward.
Question for staff and question for the commission. In our last Parks and Rec joint meeting, was there an agreement to share the cost of this?
Now, they in the last meeting, they agreed to share the cost of the pickleball feasibility study with us. So we've already begun that process.
Okay. So, commission, what's your pleasure? We could go ahead and proceed. At the same time, still send a notice to them about the fact this is what it costs and see if they're willing to participate, but,
Yeah, I agree.
we have some options.
We need to get started and then.
I have a question on this real quick. Is this just the pool? Because we talked initially about looking at the whole Bunny Davis complex.
This would definitely include the pool and the pool house structure. And that was one of the things when they initially were looking at a fee, they we're not sure how much of the original, the building itself we would include in this scope. There's improvements we'd like to make there, but I think we can do a lot of that without bringing it into this project and driving our cost up a lot more than necessary. I think the one component which we'll study during this part if we move forward with this would be how we've discussed changing the main entrance to the Bunny Davis facility from that front door on Man of War to maybe more of an entrance off of Whirlaway that's on the pool side, so that the pool is kind of the main entrance then. We could study that through this process, which may involve some improvements to the original building. But at this point, the $3 million in this scope just includes the pool and the pool house.
Maybe I misunderstand on like the baseline, it looks like to me it says Bunny Davis Recreation Complex renovations on there also. On page 1, like section 2, or am I reading that wrong?
Nope.
Because it says pool, park offices, bathhouse, parking lot, tennis courts, but.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Ooh, that'd be nice if it is.
Well, number one, I think that's why they did it in two parts. Number one is the more thorough planning of the pool and the pool, temporary pool enclosure, the pool enclosure, bathhouse, check-in, which I just discussed the entrance, and explore additional parking is the main component. And they do want to do a little bit of feasibility of the facility itself. But I want to undersell that a little bit just so we don't think we're getting back a big plan for the entire building. That's not really what this scope involves. And I think that's a little bit of what they want to, they initially did a scope and fee for everything. I asked them to give us scope and fee for the entire design. And that number got away from them because I think they were including a lot of the building components. And they said, hey, can we just narrow this down and make it a shorter scope so that you all can make a decision about how big we want this project to be. I think if we're going to target that $3 million, we're just talking about the pool and the pool house. If we involve the building itself, that scope's going to get pretty big, and it's going to turn into a $4, $5, $6 million project pretty quick.
It turns into two, it includes the site plan for the property. And so you're going to look at and make sure your parking fits on the property, and you're going to, so because of that, their words that they're using originally before you trim the scope are a little bit more comprehensive than what the scope is narrowed into. But you will look at the site. You will not look at the building, inside of the building, or the building components, the HVAC, the components within the Bunny Davis building. But you're looking at, like he's suggesting, how you access the building, where's the parking, how does that lay out with, and yes, the tennis court area, the pickleball court area will be part of that. How does that lay back out in the future? Is that there? So all of those things will be looked at as part of the site, and you're putting the pool on the site. Does that make sense? I hope that.
Yeah, I agree we should move along because of the money's not going to last much longer. And I would talk to the county as soon as possible. I don't know if they meet tomorrow or next Tuesday about participating, but I'd be okay moving forward and asking for a 50-50.
I would agree with Commissioner Holland. I think that the county will hesitate to jump in without knowing some real numbers, and we may need to take that lead. They have indicated after they find out what their bonding capacity is that they are pro Parks and Rec. So I'm feeling pretty good about that, but I think we need to move on and get some real numbers.
So was that in the form of a motion and a second?
Sounded like it.
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
And I'll second.
Thank you. Other comments?
For clarification of the minutes, are you saying is the motion to approve it as is with the direction to staff to seek 1/2 reimbursement from the county?
Yes, I think so. You make the motion.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for that question. Any other comments on that? If not, the chair will call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Josh. Let's move to your second one, please.
The city as the grantee on the KPDI grant that is funding the EDA project, the purchase of the Norfolk Southern property and the extension of North Stewart's Lane to the property. As the grantee, we are required to request the disbursements. Once we spend money, we request 50% disbursement from the state back as part of that grant. So for the second disbursement, we're requesting $390,111.98, which primarily covers 50% of the acquisition cost when we acquired the property.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval of Resolution 2024-07-2204.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Questions or comments?
This was in the budget, right?
Well, we're just acting as a pass-through.
Right.
For that. This money will flow back through us, back to the EDA.
Okay.
And they will use that money to fund the remaining of the project, the building of the road is what this money will go towards.
Okay.
Other questions?
So the money came out of the grant?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine. It flows through.
We like to hold their money. Other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of 07-2204, say aye.
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 Those opposed, thank you all. Josh, thank you. Next item is Chief Gray. Thanks for waiting, Chief.
Thank you all. Just, a PowerPoint here you also got a handout there. We're just doing some realignment things in the police department, and I kind of wanted to let you all have hands-on with the kind of bit of the structure of the of the police department and how we sit now. And I don't know if I'm hitting this right or not. Too fancy for me. So if you look there, that's the current layout of the police department with dispatch to your left is now under the police department. Then you have the patrol and investigative divisions in the center of that chart there. And then to your right, you have ABC, code enforcement, parking, and the school resource officers and crossing guards. So just to kind of break it down just a little bit more for you there, you see there's dispatch. We have Director Hafley and Assistant Director Butler there. There are 15 total positions in dispatch. You can see the 13 telecommunicators, and those are the 3 different shifts they're working. Currently, we have the director and assistant director, and we're trying to open up to what we call, or 3 lead communicators. What that will allow us to do is to put supervisors on every shift, especially at night, on the 2 night shifts, evenings and then on 3rd shift. We will not be adding any positions. That will just be promotions. We've got a process. We were going to do 1 at a time, but we've conducted a process. We got 2 very good candidates, and we'll be speaking with you later about if we can go ahead and move forward with promoting both of those people into what we call lead tellies. And what that promotion will allow us to do, it will strengthen us as we get ready to move forward in the future of dispatch. It gives us consistency and accountability for 24-hour shift coverage 7 days a week. It also allows them to have a supervisor to deal with other agencies as we're dealing more and more with different agencies, with the county, other cities on a 24-hour basis that has a supervisor that will deal with those people 24/7 instead of having to communicate with Ms. Hafley or Director Butler having them come out on overtime. We will have somebody on shift that can make some decisions at night. And that, as we go into and get more and more immersed in the community and other things, and we're dealing with more and more agencies, we're dealing with them 24 hours a day, not just 8 to 5. And we need some decision makers to be able to help with some of those decisions in the after hours. So that's what it would look like. Like I said, we wouldn't add any more positions. We would just promote 2 people into that. So it will be a slight increase to the overall budget, but I believe it was just roughly around $8,500 or something like that to make that for those 2 positions, something like that, I believe. The police department, right now there, you can see how that is aligned right now. We have 41, we're allotted 39 sworn officers. We currently have 37. We've got 2 open positions. That yellow band down there represents one of those open positions. The blue band over there is the recruit, Lauren Muntz, that we have in the academy currently right now. So as you can see, the patrol shift, you have 3 shifts there. Day shift has 8. You have a 9 on the 2nd, counting the 2 K-9s, and you have 8 on 3rd shift. And we have 4 detectives. We have an administrative captain who takes care of the fleet, vehicles, and all our equipment. And then we have an administrative assistant and a records clerk. That's currently what our patrol and investigative sections look like, and those are all the officers in the shifts that they're working currently. We would fill that 1 open position if we possibly could we've got a hiring process currently right now. We've got 2 certified candidates that we would try to go on and put into those 2 positions. The other candidate we would fill into over there, would slide in up under Captain Mullins, and that candidate would be a sergeant up under Captain Mullins over ABC. That sergeant would help Captain Mullins with codes enforcement, parking. The school resource officers, as you can see, are seasonal employees, and the crossing guards. As those positions get to be more, and codes enforcement, we definitely see that we definitely need another person in that position. We did not hire that second codes person back, but we would fill that position with a sergeant that we would promote after we fill the 2 positions that we froze last year. So again, we're not adding any positions, we're just reallocating resources there. Captain Mullins took over ABC, but he still functions as a captain over in the patrol side. He is our main firearms instructor and armorer. Right now, we don't have anybody that can take those responsibilities or from him, so he splits codes enforcement and still does all our firearms training. We have to do three courses throughout the year, and he also over our range and weapons. So we're just asking to go ahead and hire the 2 positions at this time. I think when we talked last year, right as the budget was being prepared, we talked about doing 1 certified right now and doing a non-certified later in the year, possibly about January. But if we could go ahead and, we've got 2 certified candidates, if we could fill those 2 spots right now, that would allow us to go ahead and make these 2 positions. It would allow us to go in and help fill that code spot over there with that sergeant and allow us to be a little more efficient and especially on this side of the aisle with ABC, codes, parking, and SROs. And that's what it would kind of look like after everybody was hired and promoted. Like I said, it gives us a little more efficiency up and down the board on all 3 or 4 different departments there. It's really just about managing resources. As this has all grown over the last 3 or 4 years, this gives us a better ability to communicate, increase staffing on the administrative side, and gives us a little more control on what's going on 24/7. The end.
Thank you, Chief.
And succession planning, exactly.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions? No questions from the commissioners?
Chief Gray, I think we've worked pretty hard to kind of get you back to where you need to be. So we hope that some of these things that are minor in the big scheme of things will start getting addressed, like trash cans, et cetera. I mean, I know where they lay, but we need to get on top of that.
I would say that code enforcement, Young was out last week for vacation. He's had a death in the family as well, so he's been out 2 weeks. And I will tell you that I've had every one of those calls come to me the last 2 weeks. And there's 3 calls, usually 2 or 3 calls a day for new things. Last week I just went to 4 or 5 of those locations. I can't even get to those things. Code enforcement is increasing. We might have to do something different, but the biggest thing is getting a sergeant in there to monitor that and to evaluate exactly what we need to do better there. I think gives us a lot of flexibility and a lot of room to grow down there and see what's going on.
Any other questions? Comments? No action necessary at this point?
No action. We'll talk about some things future with City Manager Coffee in the executive session.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Hayfley? Oh. Resolution 07-2205, Applied Digital Solutions Contract. Chief Gray's gonna do that one as well?
Yes, I always have somebody from dispatch to back me up here. This is not my expertise. But this is, I believe this is our yearly contract for our recorder that does the main part of the, say that again? Yes, that does the phone calls and radios, traffic for 911.
All right, is there a motion from the commission?
Move for approval of Resolution 2024-072205.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Other questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, resolution carries. I won't even take time to ask the question, so the chair would like to entertain a motion to go into executive session for personnel and for
Property.
property acquisition.
Yes, sir.
Right, so I'd like to have a motion from someone on the commission.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter pursuant to KRS 61810-1F and property acquisition, you said?
Yes. Yes,
And
ma'am.
property acquisition, potential real acquisition for which publicity at present stage might or would be likely to affect the value per KRS 61810-1B.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Clerk, did you get that? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This session. Mr. City Manager, you have some stuff for us?
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioner. We would like to recommend the hiring of Connor Johnson to the position of firefighter recruit.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next.
In addition, we would like to recommend the hiring of Grant Allmiller to the position of firefighter recruit.
So, go ahead. So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you all. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, likewise, motion carries.
Apologize.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Move we adjourn.
Thank you, sir. Is there a
Second.
second? Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.